As the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, the homeless situation is spiralling out of control. So across the UK, squatters are taking the law into their own hands.
If you don't have access to it, you will take it.
There has to be money coming from somewhere.
Ooh.
What would you rather have, us die of thirst or freeze to death?
I know enough squatters that would just laugh at you for that question.
But as the fight for a place to live heats up, have Britain's empty properties become a battlefield?
Come on, you fuck!
Drug-fueled, chaotic, filthy and disrespectful are all words used to describe squatters. And when you see properties like these, who would disagree?
When we do enter these squats, they're not safe environments. We've had large amounts of drug paraphernalia, needles everywhere, vomit up the walls, urine all over the floors. I can't believe they live like this. It is disgusting.
It's estimated that there are at least 20,000 people squatting in the UK, but the real figure is probably much higher.
Nothing surprises me when we go into these places. I've seen absolutely everything. It's not uncommon to go into somewhere and the water's gushing through the ceilings where they've taken all the copper out. If they know that they're being removed from the property, they'll just start causing as much damage as they can.
I've had bricks thrown at me, I've been spat at.
We've had objects thrown from roofs, white spirit, which is obviously an issue if they decide to light it. So you have to be sort of prepared for every eventuality.
In Streatham Common, southwest London,
This is where they actually lived. Shocking.
this property was recently trashed by 20 squatters.
Look at the state of this place. It's really bad. See, there's drugs, photos of kids. I think this is one of the families been living here. I wouldn't prefer my kids living in here.
I'm here to meet the owner, who was left with a huge clean-up bill.
Hi there.
Hi there, how you doing?
Storm, nice to meet you.
I'm Tom.
Nice to meet you.
I met them down the side of the property with one of them down the drains, trying to get them working. They'd already got the boiler working and the radiators and the electricity was on. I didn't even know they worked, but they did.
How did that make you feel?
I think initially I was angry and worried.
But were you paying for the bills then,
Yes.
once they'd sorted all that out? And how did you feel about that?
The cost of actually going through the courts was the main cost. It was more a cost. That was a much bigger cost than paying electricity.
Do you mind me asking how much it cost going through the courts?
About £7,000 or £8,000.
Really? And how much to get the place clean after they left?
I had to pay a couple of £1,000 to get rid of the rubbish.
So it was about £10,000 all in all,
Yeah.
just after the squatters left.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is a financial burden.
It is a financial burden. I run a company, we work for a living. £10,000 is a lot of money. It's the money, it's how long it took to go through that process, how difficult it was. So it's partly the money, it's partly the difficulty of the process. I'm the only real loser. This is where the squatters came through the window.
Oh, so you've had to board that up.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's quite hard to believe that squatters have been in here.
It's got a couple of bedrooms on this level. And I'm not doing anything with this property, so fundamentally I don't necessarily mind the concept of squatting.
Oh.
We had a chat about whether they might even stay. I looked for legal advice about whether I could or couldn't let them stay. Unfortunately, the advice you're given is that you give them an inch and they'll take a mile, and you can't control what might happen once
Okay.
squatters are in. So I couldn't let them stay, even though my better judgment suggested I wanted to give people a roof over their heads. I couldn't do that. From a legal perspective, it wasn't the right thing to do.
What was the danger in terms of the legal perspective?
The danger is you invite one group of squatters in, and they may not be the people that end up here. They come in, they go. The people you had contact with might not be here anymore. Others come, and you don't have any control. So I asked the squatters when they arrived. They arrived with 6 people, and I said, if you're just here with 6 people, then maybe that's okay. But by the time they left, there were 20 people here. So
that's a bit of an issue then.
they misled me, so I felt a little bit foolish, if I'm honest.
Okay, right. But had they been honest with you, then you may have been able to come up with some sort of contract?
I honestly feel like if there's a way in which squatting could be quasi-formalised, then there's no reason why it can't work for everyone.
Well, that was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a very angry landlord. He seemed to be pretty understanding, actually, and pretty willing to work with squatters in the future. But I can understand if you've opened a dialogue with someone and they breach your trust like that, you're not going to want to go any further with them, and you're going to be reluctant to doing it again.
Squatters are seen as a scourge on society.
Look at the state of this place. Shocking.
But are squats satisfying a need?
I'm trying to get to the bottom of whether squatters are indeed a bunch of freeloaders. And in order to do that, I think what I really need to do is spend a night in a squat. So I'm going to stay tonight and try and find out a little bit more about what's going on. Hello. Hi, Julian. Nice to meet you. I'm Storm. Nice to meet you.
Come in.
Thank you so much. Thanks for opening that door. It is miserable out there. Are we going upstairs?
Yeah, come this way.
Thank you.
Welcome to our humble abode.
Thank you so much.
6 years ago, this was a bustling office block spread over 9 floors. But walking around feels a bit eerie, with stuff from the past scattered all over the place.
These rooms are absolutely huge.
It's criminal, really, that places like this could be just sitting scattered around London, like empty.
How did you get in here?
Well, I didn't break in, put it that way. There was an entry point which was unsecured, if you want to put it like that.
Was it a window?
Window door is irrelevant. The main thing is that you haven't broken any laws.
What is your relationship like with the landlord?
Well, I wouldn't say we have a sour relationship. We just haven't really got too much of a relationship, but we're working on it. I mean, would you be happy about someone being in your building? Probably not. But what would offset it if you had an empty building, no one's in there, there's problems in there, and it's degrading because no one's in there. If someone is occupying the space and they came to you with a proposal of something to do and how they can maintain the building and also put the building to use, then I'll probably be happy with that.
Hey!
Good,
We're in.
look at that.
I think we've just entered the Matrix.
Something
What's
like
going
that.
on in here? There is so much computing stuff floating about.
Well, basically, what
socks.
you're seeing here is upcycling. We've got a guy here who's a bit of a tech genius, so he's trying to get things operational.
Where is the electricity coming from?
I mean, when you say in terms of I'm not an electrician. I mean, I don't know where the power's coming from a power company in that sense. I mean, but yeah, I come in, if there's a switch, I try to get the power working.
So that's 4 months of electricity that you've accrued that you have to pay at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. We haven't used a lot of electric.
You're using heaters.
Lights.
I've used those heaters before.
Yeah, I mean,
They are extortionate.
Yeah, but
They're an extortionate way of heating a building this size.
Yeah. Listen, we have to keep ourselves warm this winter. We're not trying to steal it. If they do come to us and say, OK, you've been using electric, and then we say, OK, we'll reason about it. If they don't come to me and say you've been using an electric, then hey.
But someone else has to pay for it then.
Oh, definitely not taxpayer.
Well, it will be somebody that's paying tax that will have to pay for it, whether it's the landlord or whether it's a company.
I mean, it's an electric company, so they can afford it. Donation to the community, call it.
Well, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah, donation to the community.
You know that's not true. You 100% know that that's not true. Should we go have a look at the rest of the building then?
There are currently 11 people staying here. So the electricity isn't the only utility Julian and his mates are using.
You're joking. It's all the way down on the first floor.
Well, past the first floor, I think.
It's in the basement.
No, not in the basement. So here, which, let me get my lights out. Oh, I'm gonna have words with people because, yeah, someone hasn't done their toilet duty.
How come you've only got 2 toilets when there's loads of toilets in the building?
Water and piping. It's a big building, so it's supplied by a vast network of pipes which seem to have been locked off from a certain point.
Who do you think locked them off?
Obviously not obviously, but yeah, the leaseholder.
The landlord locked them off. So how have you got these 2 working?
I'm not a plumber, but we've found mains water source next door. There's a sink there, and that's coming straight from the mains. And somehow it's feeding these toilets here. So we have tap water here, we've got tap water there, and these toilets flush.
So you've tapped into the mains?
Well,
so we
haven't tapped into the mains, but yeah, there's water in here. I mean, you have to look at it like this. We may not be paying for the electric, we may not be paying for the water. What would you rather have us do? Die of thirst or freeze to death?
Neither.
There you go, we're human beings. So we would love to be able to pay for it. If I had the money, we pay. But I haven't got the money. So what can I say? Put them in this pot here, just run some hot water on it. That's fine, switch it off.
Yep.
Yeah, just,
where am I taking this?
Yeah, just set it down for a little while.
Okay.
I mean, I've been technically homeless since about 2014. I found myself in a sticky situation because I wasn't really working. I've been going to uni as well for the past 4 years, and then my housing benefits stopped. When you're not working, it's very, very difficult to get yourself somewhere to live, and I couldn't make the rent.
And so this is you trying to sort yourself out?
Yeah, basically.
It sounds as though this building is giving Julian a lifeline. But it's an environment I'm finding hard to come to terms with. So, I've just went to the toilet and it is the darkest place on earth. Everything becomes absolutely terrifying. What is that? Scared the living daylights out of me. I'm getting upstairs ASAP.
Well, this is where I'm staying tonight. It's a huge room and it's absolutely freezing. Also, this building's just so big, I think it's going to be quite scary. Are you guys staying in here with me? No. So, that's me ready. It's also really nice. Next door's decided to start playing music. I think that's going to really help me get to sleep. So, if you guys could just turn the light off as you exit the room, that'd be great. But as far as I'm concerned, it's sweet dreams from me.
It may have been nippy sleeping at the squat, but nothing compared with sleeping rough. And 90% of squatters, just like Julian, are homeless.
So the number of people sleeping rough has doubled in the last 5 years, which is just horrendous statistics. And standing out here tonight, I wouldn't like to be part of that statistic at all. The temperature, it's 2 degrees and it feels like -2. I just can't believe people have to spend the whole night out in these conditions. It's horrible. I'm just trying to speak to a few homeless people around the area just to find out why they're sleeping rough.
If I want millionaire, I don't be no homeless in London, put it this way.
So the shelters are full then?
Problem is throughout the country.
It's a national problem. Homelessness is the result of having no other option. But I'm catching up with a guy I met at Julian's who says squatting was a choice that saved his life.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is the car park.
There's a strong smell of urine.
Yeah, mind, I'm sorry about the smell. People.
It's not your fault.
No, it don't.
Did it smell like this when you were here?
Sometimes worse.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I mean, who uses this as a bathroom?
Well, drunks, druggies, homeless. Sometimes there'd be 5 of us.
Would you be literally huddled together to just try and keep warm?
Quite close, yeah, quite close. Like literally my head would be here. And
your legs would be out here?
Along here.
So
yeah.
people would come out the lifts then and they would just
yeah,
be
and they would have to
bodies.
look. They would have to walk over you. Some people would wake up with no shoes on sometimes because people would actually come and rob your shoes.
Absolutely hideous.
Why are you going around, brother?
Yeah.
Did you teach me off then?
No.
I'll take that. So when you first came here, would someone like that guy, would that make you feel on edge a bit?
We used to see them daily, like every half an hour. Every half an hour, one of them would come through. You want a bit of this? What are you up to? You got a fag? What are you doing? You got some change? Give me your change.
So what? So they would offer you things like drugs?
Yeah, definitely. People with hidden agendas, trying to use you for their advances.
And steal from you?
Yeah, of course they would. The homeless world, the drug world is not too far behind. Because you're in such a severe situation, you collapse. You want to feel something else. You don't want to feel the shit, sad, rubbish like you feel. You feel like you're rubbish. So taking stuff like ecstasy, boom, your endorphins, you're happy again. And yeah.
So it's an easy thing to get in.
Definitely.
Do you?
I got rejected by the council, went to one of the other associations, and they said they couldn't help me because it was past 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
So you went to one place, they said they couldn't help you because you're a young male.
Yeah.
How old were you at the time?
I was 17, 18.
Because you're a young male at 17 and you should be able to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Then you go to another place and they tell you they can't help you quite simply because it was after 3.
So basically, they told me to come back tomorrow. If I had anywhere to stay, I was just saying, no, I don't have anywhere. This is why I came here. And I was just getting so frustrated. I felt so lost. I gave up. So I decided, to try and take my own life.
And then what happened after that?
I was still being prescribed a lot of antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills and sleeping tablets. And in total, I took about 125 tablets.
I mean, what kind of state would you have to be in to take over 100 pills? What was going through your mind at that point?
You feel like nothing can help you, no one will be there for you, and throughout, also with my childhood and stuff like that, it was just a mounting pressure until, I just popped and I couldn't take it anymore. And I woke up, I think it was like 2-3 days later.
So you were unconscious for 2 days?
Yeah, and I was quite upset because, people that I really wanted to be there, to show support, were still not there.
So who was it that you wanted to be there that wasn't?
It was my mum.
I'm feeling like a bit of a bag of emotions after speaking to Luke.
Do you want a hug?
Yeah.
You want a hug? It's all right.
I just feel like he's been let down. Seeing where he used to sleep, I mean, it stunk in there. Absolutely stunk. I was uncomfortable just being in there for the 5 minutes I was in there. Never mind all night.
Sleeping rough is on the up.
So the number of people sleeping rough has doubled in the last 5 years.
So are squatters merely exercising a basic human right?
So my head would be here.
And your legs would be out here?
Along here.
Absolutely hideous. I'm going to visit a squat today that I've heard is a squat with a bit of a difference. So this is where squatters and landlords are actually working hand in hand to maintain the property and actually look after it while it's not being, I don't know, renovated or used. Let's go see if anybody's in. However, there's been a spanner in the works. Hi, Charlie.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Storm. Nice to meet you. Hello there. Should I close this door?
Yeah.
This is delightful. What a nice warm welcome. So how long have you been here?
2 years.
So 2 years this has been home.
When we first got it, it was a really unloved building. It was quite trashed.
So what's down here?
A work in progress, but hopefully 3 little studio dorms here. Hopefully for short stays for people when they come round.
Like a B&B?
Yeah, essentially.
So you invite people in that are actually genuinely just homeless and need a place to stay?
Definitely. Yeah,
Oh, wonderful. So is this where all the bedrooms are on this level?
Yeah.
So take me through what you would like to see for the future for society.
I want people to meet their neighbours and to share their resources and share with each other. Same as we do here, on like a small scale between 10 of us. We all share everything, we feed each other, we look after each other. There's no reason why towns and streets can't work in the same way where people actually share and save each other money.
But in order to share, there has to be money coming from somewhere. Potentially people watching this will think, well, that's all very well and good for you guys to have a free space to live and enjoy while we're all paying for the infrastructure of that. What would you say to them?
Ooh. What would I say to them? Well, at this point, I would probably feel quite embarrassed. And that's why the idea of this space being opened up for the community is pretty much the way that I level that stuff out in my head, by being able to open those doors and give a resource back to the people of the area. That's how I settled that with myself.
Well, don't know if I can find an argument against that. Give me a bit of time. All right.
This is like our TV room. It definitely needs a sweep. So I find it really difficult to live alone. I suffer quite heavily with anxiety and with paranoia. So living with other people is the way that I want to live my life. I love living in community. I love living in a group.
So this isn't the first squat that you've stayed in?
Oh, no. I've been squatting and living this kind of alternative lifestyle since 2011, basically. I lost my job and my flat.
So you decided to go down a completely different path. Who's this?
My parents.
And where are they?
They're in France.
So do you keep in contact with them?
Yeah, it's been quite touch and go over the past few years, quite distant. It's been at least 4 years I saw them, and when I did last year, I saw them for like 2 weeks. And then it was 4 years before that again.
Oh, that's quite sad.
Yeah, just the lifestyle gets rough, but it's worth it.
Is it?
Worth it? Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
There has been a bit of a spanner in the works. I believe you were given an eviction notice.
Yes.
When was that?
About a week ago. I think the council are pushing the owner very, very hard to try and have us removed.
Right. So you think this is all a bit of a con by the council to get the property back?
Yeah.
Society goes to great lengths to move squatters like Charlie on. From what I've seen, people squat out of necessity, but there are also squatters with full-time careers who choose to squat. So I'm making my way to a secret location to meet an ideological squatter who wishes to keep his identity under wraps. Whoa, that's an interesting look. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm Storm, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Why is this necessary?
Unfortunately, in the current kind of social political climate we live in, squatting was followed by a long history of police harassment, police surveillance, persecution from all manner of far-right groups as well as the police. And unfortunately, that carries certain risks that just mean my privacy and my identity just have to be protected.
So what would you call yourself?
Political squatter probably would be the best label. Political squatting is more of a kind of ideological practice of using squatting as a tool to reclaim space and to create new social environments by which people can come together, whether it's a community centre, social centre. There are different functions for a space. I mean, there's infinite potential in any empty building. Squatters, they're not trying to make money. They're not trying to enrich themselves and acquire wealth. It's really a process of actually trying to share.
But a lot of people will say, okay, you're trying to share, but actually what you're doing is sharing other people's stuff. You're sharing a property that's not yours. How do you feel about the label of freeloaders, that squatters are just freeloading off? I mean, a lot of squats tap into the mains electricity, they tap into the mains water.
The fixation on squatters or squatting being an issue surrounding the taking of resources such as water and electricity, generally speaking, depending on the size of the space, the amount of water or electricity claimed by squatters is nothing. A squatter would probably argue that the energy companies themselves, many of them in the UK, ironically have a lot of money offshore in various tax havens around the world and do not contribute anything to tax. Squatters are simply doing things out of necessity a lot of the time, I would say. And whether that's needing water and needing electricity, if you don't have access to it, you will take it.
I know that we said that the amount that squatters take in water and electricity is negligible, but society is built on people who are really struggling to pay their bills, especially at the moment. I mean, how do you defend taking...
I would say that's something everyone should be rightfully very angry about. And we need to ask, why is that? Why is there a system we are relying on that is exploiting us and is putting us in conditions we live in where we can't afford basic necessities in life? These are questions that we all have to be asking, and squatting is a means of at least trying to look for answers. It's not providing the solution and the complete be-all end-all and an alternative system. It's trying to envision a different world that you might carry in your heart that provides a society where people aren't faced with these situations.
But do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that squatting is the answer to homelessness?
Squatting is not the complete answer to homelessness, but it's a very necessary tool for empowering the homeless and to live in space and to transform space that otherwise isn't being used and is decaying, is rotting. There are empty properties in the UK, and there are 400,000 homeless. It's a really kind of devastating number to try and conceive of. Comparing this to the empty properties in this country sitting for years at a time in neglect and not being used, while there are people freezing outside on the streets. This is kind of something everyone should be kind of engaged with and angry about, actually. It's a broken system that's operating currently under private property,
There's no doubt about it, the sheer amount of people sleeping rough on our streets are staggering, and it's only on the rise. So I've just been given a call from Charlie and the guys at the squat, and it turns out that the bailiffs did arrive today. So I am just trying to work out what's going on. I'm running over there now to find out what happened. So I've just arrived at the property and there seems to be some sort of inspector. I don't know who these people are. Sort of milling about. They certainly weren't here yesterday. But I suppose I'm going to find out. It's all very odd, very strange.
Well, I'm just here to have a look.
This guy's either interested in buying the property or he's a friend of the landlord. Are you here to buy the property? Who's that?
Not really. No, I work with a certain team.
With what team?
Well, confidentiality.
Confidentiality?
Well, sir. Well,
I think
sir,
it's that
excuse me.
interesting.
Thank you very much. You're welcome back out. You're welcome back out.
We'll go through the same way.
I'm just going to ask if you're representing an organisation.
I'm not. I represent nothing.
In that case, that's fine. I just need to be clear of who I'm working.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
I'm
fine.
Ned,
It was
and
very
you
nice
are.
to meet you,
And
Sam.
you are Sam.
Very nice to meet you. What we're trying to do is
yeah.
we're trying to see if the building's worth to invest in the money.
Is there a potential?
It's a big mess. You think it's secure for you to stay in there?
Well, not if you guys get in.
Well, no. If there was a fire in here, you'd be okay to get out and come back in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You believe so?
No, I know so.
If we
have
Sam,
all emergency lights.
Sam,
we have every fire
three
brigade in light.
letters of compliance from the three local watches.
That's very strange that you say that, because I've just walked through with my wife, and we've tripped over about maybe 10 things. If there was a fire, it'd probably be burnt alive by now.
You think so?
And since
Well,
then,
should we try it out then?
Walk through.
Well, no,
We'll find the building and we'll see if we get out alive or not.
Well, let's not do that. That's a bit
But
extreme.
you tell me. I've just walked through the building.
Yes.
And I've tripped over about 10 to 12 different items.
But you could clear them away.
No,
That's fine.
no. I've had to do that to get over stuff. Anywhere in the building. You don't have to be a smart person to understand that if you can't get through a corridor.
Yeah, but in your house, right? Sometimes you'll have things in the hall
But that's not things.
that block the door.
I'm talking about blocks. I had to go like this and like that. And now imagine there was a fire.
I'm just trying to work out what it is you do. You seem to be cagey about that.
Since you've questioned me about whether I think it's secure or safe, I'm giving you my opinion as a normal person.
So let's start it again. You've arrived here today.
I've arrived here today
for
to
what
have an
purpose?
inspection to see if there's any potential in this building
Who have you come for an inspection for? Who are you doing the inspection for?
for potential clients.
For future clients?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So is there people looking to buy the
Well,
property?
they would if they had information about it, which is why I've come here today to have a look
Okay, and gain information.
and gain information,
Okay.
but not from you, from
No.
my eyes.
Okay. That was the strangest conversation I've ever had. I asked really simple questions like, who are you here for? What did you discover? What are you looking into? And I got quite a defensive reaction that I thought really unnecessary, to be honest. Like, that conversation's left me feeling really quite horrible. What was that all about? Do you know who that guy was that just came around?
It was a spokesperson for the owner coming round to look about and sort of make a survey for potential buyers.
Okay.
But also to see what the potentiality of this space being rentable anytime soon was.
So he's surveying the property to see if anybody could possibly buy it and renovate it. That's what he's claiming.
Yes.
But he was very interested in the fire safety of the property, which was the unusual bit for me.
He's potentially trying to fish for, like, for ammunition for the landlord to be able to say to us that we are not keeping his building up to a condition that he would expect it to be kept in.
So now are you... Okay, so that's happened and I've had to confront that first. But actually this morning, a potentially even bigger thing happened and the bailiffs came round.
The bailiffs explained politely that they expected the building to be vacated and they were here to secure an empty building.
Yes.
They have gone through the motions of, with the authority that they have, come to what they expected to be an empty building, and they just expected to put a couple of padlocks on and walk away. When they found the building was still occupied, they realised that that was beyond their own jurisdiction.
Yep.
I explained to them that I'm in contact with the owner, we are arranging a contract. They said we will not call the police because we have no grounds if you guys are arranging a contract. They wished us all the best and they did politely leave.
Over the last 2 days, the guys in there have been very clear that they have a great relationship with the landlord, which I hope is true. But with the bailiffs turning up, with the eviction notice, with a strange individual, questions start to arise.
and I just hope that they can get a secure contract that means that they can live there without these ongoing stresses.
I'm back at Julian's squat where Luke now lives.
Very nice. So you've got like the corner suite, dual aspect, penthouse? Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. It's quite...
And is this your bed?
Yeah.
Sort of
so
made out of chairs?
Out of chairs, yeah. It's one of the most comfortable chairs in the building.
That's all right.
It's not too
That's
bad.
not bad. And also you're high up off the ground.
Yeah.
It's much warmer and it smells much nicer than that car park, doesn't it?
Yeah, the car park's big change. When I moved in, man, I was just like, I didn't know where to start. You know, I've had so long that not having any like personal space that I was sort of used to not having personal space, and then get given back personal space. Look, I mean, this is massive personal space.
How did things change when you moved here?
Well, for starters, there's no drugs allowed here, which is always a great plus. When I came to this place, you know, being in a car park where you have to, you know, most 9 times out of 10 be touching bum cheeks with the next person next to you to make sure that you're warm enough to go into a place where you don't even have to leave your room if you want to. You know, you don't have to talk to anyone if you don't want to. And it's all up to you.
Lifeguard candidate manual.
So this is all the hard work that I put into my lifeguard course.
So this was all the stuff you had to study for it?
That's the assessment report showing that I passed.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. I tried really hard for it.
So looking longer term, let's say a 5-year plan, where would you see yourself?
Working as a lifeguard in some other country, somewhere nice and sunny, learning the language and getting a feel for the culture.
So I think what I've gathered from meeting you and talking to you is that sometimes people just need the right environment to be able to grow, and it's clear that coming here has actually helped you stand on your own 2 feet again and sort of drive your own bus and do your own thing, and this is a big part of that. And it's really lovely to see. I'm just so glad that this had a happy ending, and it does. Can I have a hug?
Yeah, of course you can.
After a visit from the bailiffs, the guys at Romford are awaiting a phone call that'll decide their future at the property.
How are you feeling today?
Unbelievably nervous. Shaking like a leaf.
Yeah. I've been present for eviction notices, but never actually an eviction. And so my personal standpoint is I'm interested to see what does actually happen when someone shows up. Because can you move? Can you go? No, I'm not going. Like, the only person I'm going to listen to would be if the owner came in and was like, "Look, mate, you're going to know this is what's happening," you know. So, yeah, I'm more intrigued than nervous, I suppose.
It's always sort of the dream when squatting that you get something and then you're able to keep it for a year, you're able to keep it for 2 years, or the owner gives you a verbal license that you can be there.
What is it you're most going to be upset about losing in this place?
I think it's a really beautiful opportunity here that would be sorely missed. It's like we can offer help anywhere really, but here I think it's really interesting, especially the amount of homeless people and the amount of poverty in the area. It would be a shame to have to leave this space.
What was your overwhelming? As spokesperson for the group, Ned is right now locked in negotiations with the landlord.
Shall we make that call?
Yeah, let's
find out.
Yeah. Right, hi Ned, it's Charlie. I'm calling for an update on today's meeting.
Well, today's meeting, it has been very successful. I've secured an agreement for a peppercorn rent for 1 year for the better end company under the better end terms.
Yeah.
With a 4-week get out clause either end by either party.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow, congratulations. Oh, well done. Don't need to take your canvases anywhere now, leave them up there.
Cool. The council can't intervene because our 2 companies are liaising together.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's all on paper now. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ned.
Bye.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Yeah, got it for a year. And that's an ongoing thing as well, so we sign it year by year. And it being a peppercorn rent just means that there is, because you can't form a contract without some sort of exchange.
Yes.
So the £1 is just so that we can.
So that's £1 a month you have to pay?
A year.
£1 a year?
£1 for the year.
I think that sounds like value for money.
I think that's value for money too.
To have something like this is like, oh, yeah, cool. Now it's like, we've got something, you know?
Well, I'm excited to see what you do with the space now that you have the time. You don't have to worry that the bailiffs are going to be at your door. I am absolutely delighted for them. And I'm excited at the fact that we've found a group of people that can work with a landlord and make use of a property that essentially was empty and potentially get people off the streets. That's amazing. That for me is a business model that works for everybody involved, and the fact that they're going to continue to be able to do that and have that relationship with the landlord is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Entering the world of squatting has opened my eyes.
So I've just been given a call from Charlie and the guys at the squat, and it turns out that the bailiffs did arrive today.
Yes, it's an incredibly insecure existence.
You think it's secure for you to stay in there?
Well, not if you guys get in. We're using valuable resources as standard practice.
Donation to the community, call it.
You 100% know that that's not true.
I've now come to realise utility bills are not even the half of it.
So it's about £10,000 all in all, just after the squatters left.
Yeah. And yet landlords are willing to work with squatters determined to make a difference to the community they live in.
By being able to open those doors and give a resource back to the people of the area, that is how I settled that with myself.
I don't think squatting can be a solution to homelessness, but if more landlords work with those that can see a use for their empty building.
I'm just so glad that this had a happy ending, and it does. Can I have a hug?
Yeah, of course you can.
It can go a long way to help people get off the street and provide them a future worth living for.
I mean, I'm not an electrician.
Oh, look, I mean, this is massive personal space.
Congratulations!
Yeah, got it for you.